Is Locked On NBA Game Night for the night of Wednesday, October 1st. On today's show, the 76ers are bringing back Quentin Grimes. But where will he be playing next season? Meanwhile, we take a look at two teams racing to the bottom, plus hints about what the Warriors and Rockets might do with their starting lineups. All of that and more on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome back to Locked On NBA Game Night. Wes Goldberg here with Tony East. However, you might be tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks so much for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Have a loaded show for you today. Which team is tanking to the bottom better? We're going to ask that question by pinning two teams against each other in our weekly Versus segment, plus hints about what the Warriors might do with their starting lineup. Here's a hint. It's the opposite of what the Rockets might do with their starting lineup. But we're going to start today in Philadelphia with the headline of the day. Quentin Grimes, the restricted free agent saga is over, Tony. He is signing his 1 year, $8.7 million qualifying offer to return to the 76ers this season. The deal carries an inherent no-trade clause, and Grimes can and will become an unrestricted free agent next summer. Are you surprised that we ended up here?
Yes. I think the Sixers' plans are as blurry as my camera currently. I don't know why. I cannot fix it. I've tried everything. I don't get it. So here's what I wondered. When they drafted VJ Edgecombe, I thought, okay, they have Maxey, they have Edgecombe now, they have Jared McCain. Where does that leave Quentin Grimes? But he's good, and he played well for them in a way that if you get him on a contract, that's fine and tradable. That should be the goal if you're the Sixers, honestly. And I get that they're going to be over the tax and the aprons and all that stuff. But I just assumed the reason it was taking so long is because he's basically their fourth guard, even though he's good. But in the end, all the reporting's they offered him a comically low amount over his qualifying offer to get him to waive the no trade clause, which makes no sense for Quentin Grimes to do. And this always is a disaster for both the team and the player. The player does not get a contract that they often have earned. The team now has a player on their team that is good, but clearly not in their plans and frustrated by the situation. I don't get how it ended up like this. And now the Sixers, I have more offseason things that aren't Grimes related that I could complain about for the Sixers that I won't do right away. But I do not get how it got to this point.
Yeah, for as much as a win as getting Quentin Grimes from Dallas at the trade deadline was for Philadelphia, right? They swapped Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes, and then he comes in, averages nearly 22, 5, and 5 for them over the last 28 games of the year. He had a 46, a 44, and a 35-point games to end the season. He was awesome for them. So as much as a win that was, this feels like a loss that you couldn't lock this guy up. Quentin Grimes, if you were paying attention, I don't know if we knew that kind of stuff was in there as consistently as it was for the 76ers down the stretch, but he's a guy that people like, right? It's not completely shocking that he took this sort of mini leap here with a little bit of extra playing time in Philly with all the injuries and things that they were dealing with towards the end of the season. Now, they maybe tried to out-leverage him with restricted free agency. I do wonder, why not offer that guy? He's young. He's theoretically at least a two-way player. He really showed you a spark last year, and at the very least, sign him to a contract that's tradable. We just saw what the Warriors did with Jonathan Kuminga. That, you could argue maybe that's a tradable contract. I think Grimes, if you could have gotten him in a little bit less than that, would have been very tradable, but now he's got this no-trade clause that's part of the qualifying offer, picking that up, that you can't even move him, and now he's just going to be an unrestricted free agent next summer, and who knows what the future of the 76ers looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting to squint at this for a second, given Grimes' past, because I agree with the same thing as you, where it's every time he's available, a team wants him, right? The Knicks trade him, okay. The Mavs get him, sweet. Then I had that backwards. Detroit first, then Dallas, then Philly. Yeah, the Pistons get him, and he plays okay there, and then they trade him, and everybody's like, why'd they do that? And then the Mavs trade him, and everybody's like, why'd they do that? So on one hand, it's teams are happy to get him every time, but on the other hand, 4 teams have now been like, we're okay moving to a different business. So that's made me raise my eyebrow, maybe give the Sixers a little benefit of the doubt, but the qualifying offer is just bad. It's just a bad outcome. That's why the Warriors wanted so much to find, even if it's a weird contract, a compromise with Kuminga, right? And why the Bulls did find one with Josh Giddey. Cam Thomas, I'm sure they would have liked one, but the contract offers it sounds like the Nets offered were also bad, in the same way that these Grimes ones that have been reported are pretty bad. So I get why he took it, especially because the no trade clause is so valuable, because the non-bird rights, if he gets traded, are useless. I think his max is like a 4-year, $45 million deal. Like I'd pay him more than that right now if I'm another team. So his next contract is going to be because of free agency, either the mid-level exception or cap space. And the mid-level exception 4-year deal is higher than that non-bird rights deal. So he needs to control where he goes so he can ball out and try to make as much money as he can. So a low amount of raise over his qualifying offer is useless to him. He should rather just have control of his situation. So I think he made the right choice given what was available to him. I'm surprised more was not available to him, though.
Shams reported that the Sixers offer was 4 years, $39 million, which is just the hair under $10 million a year. I mean, again, comically low. I am curious about what his next contract looks like, right? So he'll be unrestricted next year. We know that there's a lot more teams with some cap space next summer. I look at the deal that Giddey signed, Josh Giddey at $25 million a year, and I'm like, Grimes is he's as good, if not better, than Josh Giddey, right? I mean, he's kind of right there at that level. $20 to $25 million a year doesn't sound like crazy to me for Quentin Grimes.
Norm Powell's on the team you cover. He's at 20 million, right? Right? Like that's similar as like very much their primary function on the basketball court is scoring and efficient scoring, which is hard to do. And he proved he could do it as like a quasi number one option, albeit on a really crappy team. So yeah, that is a of some value level of player, especially if your team is already good or really needs that kind of thing. I get why the Sixers, again, might say, well, we don't need that thing. Okay, well, someone else does. Like, clearly. Again, we just said all these teams, even if teams didn't want him, 4 teams have wanted Quentin Grimes. So you just need one more to do it. It just is weird. I'm very surprised this one got to this point. I thought Cam Thomas would get to this point and all the rest would be signed. So that is shocking to me. Can we rip the Sixers for more stuff?
What's that?
Can we rip the Sixers for more stuff?
Go for it.
I believe now that they are like just below the first apron and a little over the tax. So they could have, if they knew this would be the resolution, used the mid-level exception at some point this summer. Now that's like, who cares? All the good players are gone. So like they lost Yabusele. They could have kept him. That's basically what he signed with the Knicks. They could have gotten any other decent player for the mid-level who went to a different team using it. Like, they just lost opportunity because the situation dragged out for so long, and it still ended with the worst outcome for them. Like, I don't get how this happened, in this way for that team. And now they're so close to tax, they're probably going to have to salary dump somebody midseason. That player might be Quentin Grimes. Like, it just, how did it get to it's so bizarre to me.
I look at Philadelphia's offseason, and to your point, it just sort of feels like they threw their hands up, and they're like, this whole thing is over. Joel Embiid's never going to play 60 games, let alone probably 40 games in a season ever again. We have no idea what his health is. The Paul George thing was a complete disaster for us. We have no way of getting off of that contract. We did get lucky in the lottery. We got VJ Edgecombe, who we like a lot. Tyrese Maxey is still young and under contract. We feel good about that. We're kind of just hoping to get to that point. Eventually, the Embiid contract and the Paul George contract comes off our books. It's a while, but eventually it happens, and we're just trying to get to that point. And until then, we're just going to sort of throw our hands up, and a Yabusele here, and a Quentin Grimes there. In the grand scheme of things, half a decade from now, none of that stuff's going to matter for us, because and I'm not, again, I don't know what they're thinking. It's just, that's what the feel is, Tony. It's just, it's sort of like, whatever. Like this ended. We're kind of we're saddled with these tough contracts, and we kind of just got to wait them out.
Yeah, they mostly added younger stuff. I guess Gordon and Lowry are like these vets, but Trendon Watford, draft Edgecombe, like keep the youth movement going in a way that makes their season not so sad if they're good players. Right. Again, they just have the youth that they're developing. But Grimes is young. He fits that.
Right.
So I agree that it's a little bit of like, well, if we're not gonna be able to do what we were doing, great, we'll do these guys instead. But it's like, I don't really get it. I don't get what the upside is for the Sixers here, or why they were so comfortable ending up with this outcome.
What's weird is that Grimes is going to play a big role for them. This wasn't just a situation where he balled out for a team that was really hurt. He's probably going to start, right? Like I think that the projected starting lineup right now is
especially with McCain hurt.
With McCain out for 4 to 6 weeks, right? So you've got Maxey, Edgecombe, Grimes, Paul George, and Embiid. I think That's probably the starting five on opening night. There'll be touches. There's going to be a role for Grimes to play on this team. Like, he could easily ball out this summer or this season, and then next summer price himself out of whatever Philadelphia did. And Philadelphia, while Grimes is balling out, has no means to capitalize on it via trade because he's got the no trade clause. Now, Grimes could just look around and be like, I'll waive my no trade clause. Right? Just because he has no trade clause doesn't mean he can't get traded. Like, he could waive his no trade clause, which I suspect maybe after these negotiations, I wouldn't rule it out at all. Like, I can go sign with another team, get into their cap space, get into that environment, and then maybe re-sign with that team next offseason. So we will leave it there for the 76ers. Coming up, we spent the last few weeks asking who the better team is, but who's the worst? We'll talk about two teams racing to the bottom after this. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Peloton. Peloton is shaping up the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors, this is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, all while making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level every week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. This is our off-season edition of Game Night, but not for long. Games starting later this week. We're back. Game Night, season edition. We'll be covering the preseason here on this feed, starting as soon as the preseason begins. The best way, of course, to support the show is make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and follow us on your favorite podcast app. This is our final episode of Versus Tony. We didn't cover every team, but we covered a lot of the important ones. We've been pitting teams against each other to decide which ones were best. But as we know, some teams are not trying to be the best. Some teams are trying to be the worst. The tank is on for the Utah Jazz and the Washington Wizards. So we're going to decide which one is worse by breaking things up into our categories. Worst primary option, worst co-star, worst coach, and which team has the worst depth. So we got those four categories, and at the end, we're going to decide which team between the Jazz and the Wizards is worst, or rather, best positioned to tank their way to the bottom this season. Let's start with the worst primary option. I think this one is tough, considering maybe what the definition of a primary option is. And in Utah, their best player is Lauri Markkanen. I don't know that he's considered a primary option, though, for that offense.
Yeah, the Wizards, like CJ McCollum's gonna have the ball out, right? Chris
Right.
Middleton's probably their best play finisher, but are those guys actually going to be primary option, high usage guys? Is that just going to be Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson and whatever young guys, right? So we do have to kind of get granular with what the meaning of that is. Both of these teams have a ton of young guards who are going to have the ball out. You know what young guards usually have in common, Wes? They stink. They're bad a lot of times. The Jazz guys are farther along in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Keontae George and Isaiah Collier, at least a year ahead of the other two. I think Collier and Carrington were the same draft, but that makes me think that the primary initiators will be slightly better on the Jazz. I've at least seen them do it before, so I give them the air quotes advantage. Also,
Right.
Lauri Markkanen is better than the veteran dude collection on the Wizards. So whatever definition you choose, I think I pick Jazz, but I don't feel great about it.
I think I also picked Jazz, and it's sort of for the same reason you said. Even with their point guard depth, I hesitate to even phrase it that way, it is a little bit more proven than what Washington has, especially considering that CJ McCollum, it doesn't feel like McCollum's due for a 65-game season with Washington, right?
No.
Like, that doesn't really feel like... Now, Trey Johnson can just be awesome, and all the hype around Trey Johnson in so far has been great, right? Like, everything that you're hearing in training camp preseason with Trey Johnson is great. He might just blow this up and just be like, yep, I'm the best guy that we're talking about. Don't worry about it. Point for the Wizards. But to your point, We've seen Collier do it. We've seen Keontae George do it a little bit. They have Walter Clayton Jr., who they just drafted, who a lot of people really liked later in the first round. And at the end of the day, they have the best player here, who is Larry Markkinen. And so maybe just in the spirit of this, we give it to the Jazz. So in our weird verses, this is actually a point for the Wizards, I guess. So congrats.
The Wizards are also more likely to trade their veteran dudes than the Jazz.
Are they?
I mean, I get that people keep saying like, "Oh, Larry Markkinen's gonna get traded," but he makes a lot of money, and Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum only make a little bit of money. So
that's true. Worst co-star. Who are the co-stars here? So I actually have Markkinen written down as co-star, weirdly, for the Jazz, just because I think somebody's going to be passing him the ball in most offensive possessions, but that could be totally disrespectful to Larry Markkinen.
Yeah. Do they have co-stars? This is a rude question. Nurkic? Is he the second best vet on the Jazz? Kyle Anderson's
Walker
on the
Kessler.
team. George Yang's on the team. Walker Kessler's good. He's very good. Walker Kessler could make 9 figures next summer.
Can we just give this to the Jazz? Because I think the Wizards have the better co-star guy.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Bilal Coulibaly? Is that not?
Bilal's good, but he's hurt so much. And he started really hot last year and then really faded out as the season went on. So it's harder for me to pick him. This is like depressing. Because this one's harder than like the ones we've done before, not because it's actually like functionally challenging to talk about who's on these teams, but because the goals of the team mean the players' roles won't match like their ideal role is, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like the guy who will actually be the co-star on the Wizards it should be McCollum or Middleton, but that's not what it's going to be in their actual real life reality. You know, like Marvin Bagley's on that team, like he could do stuff with the ball. Corey Kispert's on that team.
We saw the Jazz last year.
Like they don't.
The Jazz last year, John Collins was their co-star, and they were like, "Stop playing, you're too good.
Stop, Colin Sexton, get out of here, please. We don't want this." Right? Like it's just kind of goofy to figure out exactly what the answer would be. Maybe it's going to be Cam Whitmore. Maybe he finds that in DC. But I think I would agree that it's the Jazz as well here, but not. I don't know why. It just
feels that way.
They have more reliable guys,
right? So we're gonna go. So point for Washington. Point for Washington or point for Washington? Point for Utah. I'm already confused by our game here.
I think it's 2-0 Jazz.
2-0 Jazz. Okay.
Bad news for the Jazz.
Worst coach: Will Hardy versus Brian Keefe.
Brian Keefe is not a bad coach. Will Hardy's a lot better. So
yeah, I think this one's pretty easily Keefe.
Although, Will Hardy is so interesting because his record is bad every year, and everybody is still like, yes, this guy's clearly a good coach.
I do think we fall a little bit too much, and I'm not saying Will Hardy's not a good coach. I think we're falling a little bit too much into the sideline out of bounds plays look really cool, therefore this guy's an awesome coach kind of thing. Like a little bit of the Brad Stevens thing going on here.
My pro Will Hardy take is that a bad Jazz team, he makes them so good that they're like, crap, we have to tank now.
That's the right take. Yeah, that's the right take. And so that's why I will easily go Hardy on this. I do think he's a good coach, but there are people that's saying like he's like one of the top 10 coaches in the league. I'm like, let's just wait until he has a winning season before we start doing something like that. But worst depth. I think the Jazz have the worst depth. And I don't really have a scientific way to prove it. I just think that the Wizards have more promising young players.
I agree.
Chances are some of them will pop. And if even one or two of these guys pop, I think it's the Wizards in a landslide. So I think the Jazz have worse depth.
I think the Wizards could put together a lineup of 5 players that's like 5 reasonably like could be positive players at the position they play. It kind of relies on you squinting and being like, oh, Bub Carrington's a positive point guard. But the rest of the positions are not very hard to put that together. And I cannot do that for the Jazz. No, I can't do it on the wing. I just can't. I can't get there for the Jazz. There's too many like, this is not a winning player yet situation. Right. And the Jazz want that. They traded the good players on purpose. But I do think that means that the better depth / worst depth goes to the Jazz in this case.
It's going to be a lot of Ace Bailey doing exactly what Ace Bailey wants to do.
Yes.
Which doesn't exactly, nothing against Ace Bailey, but like rookies with that kind of.
Kevin Durant had like a bad shooting percentage as a rookie.
Right.
Like you're not supposed to be good.
Right.
You're just not, it doesn't happen.
Congratulations to the Utah Jazz. You are the winner / loser of our Tankathon versus segment. I'm not even sure what the final score was, but clearly you are the worst team in the NBA, which is exactly
if Larry Markkinen isn't any good, they are not the runaway winners, but like the clear winners of this exercise.
Or if they trade Markkanen, right, and they don't have him for
Yes.
half the season, then it's just like, boom, like mission accomplished, got rid of all your good players. I don't know how much longer Utah can get away with tanking this badly and obviously. I've made this point before, but if they were playing in Philadelphia, their front office would have been forced out.
I bet this is the last year. I only say that because, one, it's been a long time and it's like very painful, and they have a pretty new owner, which has really slid under the radar. But two, it was very easy to do it in the Wembanyama year and this year and next year when the drafts are pretty good. Once the draft stopped being very good, let's go. Win some games. Make it happen.
Steve Kerr made a surprising comment about the Warriors starting lineup. Buy or sell is next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you're not going to want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little bit something riding on the action, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats. FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We are back on Locked On NBA Game Night. It's time to wrap up our Wednesday night episode the way we do every week. It's time for buy or sell. Tony, Steve Kerr said that there's a chance that the Warriors could start games with Draymond Green at center. Buy or sell that the Warriors really could go small and start games small, or really go small to start games despite having just signed Al Horford.
Yeah, sell. They never have, ever really done that, even though they always are like, yeah, this is clearly our best lineup. They always start Looney or Festus or Mo Spates or Andrew Bogut, or how many do I have to name before everybody gets the point? Like, they just do. And they get to the Draymond at the 5 lineup when they need to. But yes, I think Al Horford starts, and then sometimes he doesn't play, and Trace Jackson Davis or Quentin Post starts, and maybe once or twice Draymond Green starts at the 5.
This is, to me, classic head coach just trying to throw people off the scent of something, which is weird because Steve Kerr doesn't really do that. Steve Kerr tends to be pretty honest with these kinds of questions. He's not going to just outright give you the game plan. But I don't know. This is a little weird. But everything out of Warriors Media Day and all of this was really weird. This wasn't even technically Media Day because Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy Jr. didn't talk at Media Day. So they talked at this extra day after they signed all these guys. But I am selling all of this. The idea that you would make Al Horford wait the entire offseason until minutes before Media Day just to be like, oh, and also we're bringing you off the bench, my dude. That seems not right and doesn't seem like something that they would do.
Wes, buy or sell that I'll remember the name of the game and actually answer with buy or sell ever. I always just answer, but I never actually say which one it is, and I just hope the answer gives it away.
I'm selling that. I will
I'm very forgetful how this works.
So the Warriors starting lineup then is going to be, we think, Horford, Draymond, I imagine
Jimmy.
Steph Curry starts, Jimmy Butler. That's right. That's the guy I was forgetting. Jimmy. I was like, who's that guy that they traded for? And then I guess the fifth guy would be either Pods or Moody or Healed. So I think probably Pods, maybe Moody has a really good training camp, the training camp that they've been hoping that he would have all this time. That's not a bad starting lineup if Horford's out there.
No. And then a Moody, Healed, Seth, GP2, Trace, Post, bench is yeah, this is a team. This makes sense. These are good players. It's not an awesome
bench
team,
makes
but
me question their ceiling.
I'll say could be. Oh, and also we just forgot a rotation player. What's Jonathan Kuminga's on the Warriors? He will certainly be getting minutes at the 3 and the 4. That's so funny. I've been thinking so much about their non-Kuminga team. Yeah, that team could push for top 6, but you're relying on so many old guys that so much could go sideways so fast.
Yeah, it's really, how many games do you expect Horford, Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph to actually play? Steph tends to play more than those other guys.
And Melton, who they just got, is good and gets hurt every year too. They're going to be juggling bodies.
Yep. Another starting lineup question. According to Ime Udoka, the Rockets can start a jumbo lineup. He actually said that this is a possibility. I'm going to give you the names, Tony, and then I'm going to give you their heights with each corresponding name. So as we know, the Rockets will be without Fred VanVleet for the season, unfortunately, which is going to force Udoka into some interesting lineups. As if he wasn't already going to play some interesting lineups. But even more so, it could force him into an interesting starting lineup. So without a traditional point guard on the roster, here's what Udoka said could be the starting lineup. Amen Thompson at point guard, 6'7". Kevin Durant, 6'11". Jabari Smith Jr., 6'11". Alperen Şengün, 6'10-ish, 6'11". And Steven Adams, 6'11". Buy or sell the Rockets starting this humongous lineup?
I'm thinking, okay, so the clear advantage of this is like you just stop everybody all the time and give up 95 points in a game, and you get every rebound the whole game. You get all of them. You just get every single one. So there's a lot of faith in Amen Thompson shot creator there, but I don't know that that's one. I think that's fine. Like you want to see how good he can do there, and two, like Şengün is crafty enough as a post player, and KD can create for himself just enough. Basically, and like Steven Adams just scores when the ball happens to fall his way. So basically, Jabari Smith's the only guy who like needs someone there to help him out. I think that would score enough to work. I don't think that's going to be their starting five. I think they would like to have another ball handler on the floor, but their lineup is fine. I'm still selling it. I think they'll have a Aaron Holiday is probably not good enough. Reed Shepard's probably not good enough, but just someone else who can credibly dribble toward the basket and make you feel good about it.
Good job. You did the game right.
I did it.
I'm also selling a part of this. I'm selling a portion of this. I think they could go big to start games in a way that we're not really talking about. I don't think they'll go this big. I think this is a little too extreme in that direction. I do think ultimately either I could see them even starting Aaron Holiday as sort of like the stopgap. Hey, you start the first 5 or 6 minutes of a game, and then we start getting into our weird, wacky, big lineups. But part of this, too, is that Dorian Finney-Smith doesn't sound... He could miss the start of the season. He might not be ready for the start of the season. They've obviously got the injury to Fred VanVleet. So, like, they're already starting to lose guys a little bit. And I know, like, Jackson Gatlin over at Locked on Rockets is sort of penciling in Dorian Finney-Smith as the fifth starter. I wonder if the fifth starter is just Steven Adams, which would start to make the Clint Capella signing make a lot more sense.
Way more sense.
And if you start Steven Adams and Şengün, and you could still do Durant at the 3, Amen at the other guard spot, and then you either start Aaron Holiday just for, again, the first kind of opening minutes, just to have like a normal looking starting lineup out there to begin games, or even just go Reed Shepard and just say, you know what, here's the deep end, jump, you know? Like, that to me makes a little bit more sense than kind of just going this extreme right away.
Yeah, that's true. But like, what is truly a better defense? Like, what if it's Tari Eason and the Terror Twins starting? Or is that better than Adams, but then you don't play Capella at all? Do you have enough ball handling with that? Probably not, although Tari Eason can kind of do it, right? So they just have a lot of options that are like, okay, it's kind of just like, man, I pray we score enough, right? And the guys they have that can score are really good at it, but I don't think they're going to be like a very high pass kind of team, which is fine.
No, they were
not built for it, but that means they'll have to make their lineups, let's say, unique instead of that.
I feel like the Rockets wish that point guard wasn't a position, that like every game was just played in the half court, and that you could just start 5 forwards and it was normal, and they would just be like, yeah, that's the roster we built. Yep.
Yeah, if Reed Shepard's awesome, it solves so many problems for them.
And if he's not, it causes a lot of issues.
Causes a lot of problems. Aaron Holiday, I covered him in Indiana. He's honestly like a 6 foot tall 3-and-D wing, but he's fine. Like, he can dribble the ball, he can pass a little bit, he's fine.
I think we're overlooking. Everybody's just sort of saying that he's not going to start. I'm like, why wouldn't he start? Doesn't mean he has to play 30 minutes.
More for them now. Yeah,
but he's going to be playing more regardless. He is short, but like that's the beauty of having like a bazillion guys 6'7" and taller. Is like, okay, we can have one short guy out there. It's not the end of the world.
Fred VanVleet is also short.
Good point. All right, that'll do it for us today. That wraps up Locked On NBA Game Night. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. For Tony East, I'm Wes Goldberg. This has been Game Night. Thanks for hanging out with us.